ॐ भद्रं कर्णैभिः शृणुयामदेवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागं सस्तनूभिः व्यशेमदेवहितं यदायुः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Let us pray together. We offer our salutations to the all-loving being who endows all beings with consciousness. We meditate on the Lord, who is the origin of the universe. Lord, Thou abidest in all, Thou art all, Thou assumest all forms, Thou art the origin and goal of all. Thou art the self of all, Thou art existence, knowledge and bliss. Salutations unto Thee. May the world be peaceful. May the wicked become gentle. May all creatures think of mutual welfare. May their minds be occupied with what is spiritual and abiding. May our hearts be immersed in selfless love for the Lord. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. So just let us listen to the well-known Disney song with the same title that you might have, most of you I think have visited the Disneyland. And then in the Disneyland, this song is almost continuously playing about. So let us listen to it. Beautiful words by two Sharman brothers. This song was composed. And they were very good writers and composers, both of them. unexpectedly they meet, and then they discover, oh, they have so much in common. They belong to the same place. And somehow they are connected together in many ways together. So therefore, at that time, they used the phrase long back when I was touring Germany. And then one gentleman was sitting besides me in the train there, and we just got having a chat, and he was surprised to see that I am from US. Oh, I too am from US. Oh, where you are from? It is. He said that he used to be. Now he lives somewhere. I forgot the name, but somewhere in the Midwest. And then when I said that, well, I live in a Vedanta society in Providence, Rhode Island. Said, oh yes, I used to live there. I studied at Brown University. Oh, I remember Vedanta Society. It is on that Angel Street. Yeah, correct. Yeah, and it's a yellow house there, isn't it? I said, well, that used to be when you were studying at Brown. And then there was that nice Swami. And I attended some of his lectures. Oh, you are from there? Oh, yes. Small world. I read a story also, a little funny, that in a train there were 2-3 people going, and two got into a chat. One was a little older, another was younger. And then, hey, where do you live? In USA. What state? I live in Massachusetts. Oh, I also live in Massachusetts. Wow. Which city? I live in Lexington. Oh, wow, I also live in Lexington. Where in Lexington? Oh, I live in at 37. I live in 37 Washington Street. 37 Washington Street. Oh, I also live right there. What a small world. Another man was listening, and then he said, oh, then you two must be knowing each other. Oh, well, we were just to kill the time, we were having some conversation, no? We are father and son. So, small world, friends, it's a small world. The idea that is with everyone, after all, everything is, when we look at it from the point of view of unity, it all can be brought in a unit. Everything can be brought in a unit, and thus it becomes small, although very big. Otherwise, the world is enormous, infinitely huge, mind-boggling. The earth itself is so big. You cannot really fathom how big it is. Even, the city of Providence, small in a way, but so big. If you want to see the history of each and every place, you see it has become so big. I am living here for last 19 years plus, and I really have not seen every inch of it, or not even 20% of it. So it is really huge, big. It is, and then imagine all the galaxies, different planets and stars and whatnot, how big it is. It is so huge. And yet, where it is? Mm. Where it is, even if you go by, say, forget the spiritual books, Vedas, and all that, where it is all in the brain. You perceive it in the brain. It is in the brain. You have the programs installed there, space and time, and then the plans for sight and sound and all the other organs. So it is the whole space is in brain. There is always a discussion about it. Is the brain in the space or is the space in the brain? Unending discussion, friends. It is which is where? Is the brain in the space? Yeah, you can see that the size of the brain and so forth. So, brain must be in space. But then, where do we perceive all this space? It is in the program loaded on the brain, and that generates the ideas of space and time and so forth. So the whole universe is perceived within that, how small it becomes. It is so tiny. Thus it is a small world. When you look at what is same, then everything boils down to something very tiny. And therefore, actually, all human beings try to find the common substance by which everything is made. All science also looks for the one material from which everything is built, the one force by which all the different forms of force get manifested. That search for unity is always in the human beings. We try to find the common basis of everything, and thus, although infinitely big, we see it is small. In Vedanta also, you have this trend to find out that one entity from which everything else appears to have been manufactured. That one substance, that is the quest of Vedanta, to find out. You see, in Chandogya Upanishad there is the discussion that the sage is telling Shvetaketu, his son, that, oh look, although the world appears to be so big, if you know the one little lump of clay, then you in a way know all that is manufactured out of clay, you know all that. You don't have to go to everything to know its inner character. Know that which is this lump of clay, and by knowing the lump of clay, you know everything. There is therefore a very beautiful, sublime, illuminating, and also very helpful for our practical spiritual practice, sadhana, to realize the absolute truth, to experience that truth where it is to be experienced. It is shown that you experience it in the heart. There it is that you can find it. One can find it there. It is in Chandogya Upanishad again. There is this particular chapter called Dahara Vidya. That Dahara means a small space inside you, where one feels the awareness of I. So it is mentioned there in the eighth volume and first some verses of the first chapter. It is called Dhara Vidya, therefore, this knowledge of this space within, where you experience that whole universe is kind of brought together, combined there. There is nothing apart from that. In the commentary of Shankaracharya, just before this, in the earlier two chapters, it has been elucidated that how you realize everything is self. Thus, you become a completely happy, fulfilled, satisfied forever. All the desires are thus gone. And if you can get it by that, that is very good. But there are majority of people, that is what Shankaracharya explains, that why is this volume there, this eighth volume, why they are beginning with the what is called the inner space? Because the minds of common people are addicted to the reality of time, space, etc., and therefore they cannot appreciate the timeless, spaceless, the reality of the absolute Brahman or Self. And so to help them, the concept of inner space has been used, because we are used to things in the outer space. Now, therefore, see the inner space. This is again a matter of training. Feel the inner space. It is called space in the heart. Here it is said that the space in the of the form of lotus, Dhara Pundarika. Pundarik means a lotus. And it is there in that space. It's a house, as it were. Think of it that somebody is staying there. Like this is the building, this is the house. So someone stays there. Imagine this inner space where somebody is dwelling. It is, we know that indweller, we are always aware of that. And from that we see everything is proceeding. So it is to bring the knowledge of the timeless, spaceless, ever-existent self, the Atman. You now, for those who are not ready to accept the unreality of time and space, and they say, okay, let us begin with this. The time and space that you are seeing. It is, let me tell you, you can all experiment and see how difficult it is to remove this perception of time and space. The whole reality of this universe is dependent on our perception of time, space, and the reality associated with that. We somehow or other, although it is completely illogical, we all feel that there is space, time, in which everything is there. All of us are in space, time. If you analyze a little bit, we are not in space, time. We are creators of space and time. It is space and time is Swami Vivekananda in his celebrated book Jnana Yoga. I suggest all should read that book. Uh, Wonderful to understand these simple concept, but how our muddled understanding makes it complicated. Jnana Yoga or the yoga of knowledge, it basically means that trying to see things clearly, uh, rationally, using your intellect. We all have intellect, but we do not make the proper right use of it in this direction. To find out where we are confused, the cause of confusion, and so forth. So, space and time. He says that this is the because we see the multiplicity, there is the creation of space and time. This moving, changing multiplicity that makes for space and time, and then gradually we think that it is in this we are in this space and time. We are actually creators of it. He says a very important statement to think about, that space and time, they do not have even the reality of the various objects. He shows that how these various objects are just sensations. And then he proceeds to say that these space and time do not have even that much reality. They are just like shadows of the objects that go around it. I still remember the shock that I received when I first read it, that it is like the shadows of the various objects. When we are just looking at them constantly together, we confuse one with other, and we feel that the shadow is the cause of the object. It is because we lose the distinction between what is shadow and what is the thing. The time and space are like the shadows hovering around everything. So, therefore, our minds are so addicted to think in terms of time and space. So easily we cannot just get detached from it. And so the sages have given this as the practice. That look a space within, a palace within you. So can't be too big after all. It is within your body. So time, space and all, they are all included. And then you become even thoughtful and see that when you sleep, all the objects vanish, so vanishes the time and space also. When one is perceiving dream, we perceive objects in a different space and time. The time and space there are different because the objects have different nature, and time space being their shadows alone, they also have a different character. It is called in Vedanta that it is the space that we see with these external sense organs is called sthulakasha, means the gross space and time. The one that we experience in dream. And everyone dreams. I am not talking about daydreaming, but when you sleep, Daydreaming has some similar characteristics, that is not the topic right now, but it is when you sleep and another universe appears, you are there in that universe. I tell again, this is a very important statement to remember. You are always in the dream. You haven't seen a dream in which you were not there. Try to remember. What, Naomi? Did you see a dream in which you were not there? It is impossible. Just as you do not see, do not experience anything in the outer, at the waking state, without you being there, so also in dream. And it is a different space and time. That is called Chittakasha, means the mental space-time. And then when you are in deep sleep, it all gets merged into some space that is called Chidakasha, means the space of consciousness. It is the consciousness space. So about this, now the Chandogya Upanishad is proceeding, and we will read a little bit of that part. And this is again, let me repeat, for feeling this as a part of sadhana, that you see an outer space, now feel a space in your consciousness within you. And then like a house, think of the indweller there. So, it begins that Hari Om, there is this city of Brahman, the body, and in it the palace, the small lotus of the heart, and in it the small space in that lotus. It is in the heart, so how small will it be? In many beautiful Vedic hymns, this concept is developed more for meditation. It is that it is within the space of the, like in Taittiriya Upanishad, you see that Eshontar Hridaya Akasha. Inside there is this space within your heart. Even when there is the meditation mantra of Sri Ramakrishna, it begins with this: Hridaya Kamala Madhye Rajitam Nirvikalpam. That within this lotus, in the heart, there is the Rajitam, means it is shining, it is present with its light, without any change, nirvikalpam, no movement, in absolute stillness, it is there. So, one has to now reflect within. It is a very important aspect of especially the Vedantic religious practice. And if you look into the practices of Buddhism or ancient Christianity, I am talking about ancient Christianity because these days they have not been using it. It is the God who is in the heaven, somewhere outside. But it is if you see the kingdom of heaven within you, that is where you can find it. It is, otherwise it is very depressing statement. Somewhere, how can I go there? it becomes already very difficult. But it is within you. You are that. And that statement also comes in this Upanishad, the oft quoted and often misunderstood statement of Vedanta that thou art that. You are that. When you investigate, then you realize that you are the reality. So, for that, for most people, not those who are they supremely qualified aspirants, they don't need all these steps like some brilliant students of mathematics. They don't need too many intermediate steps to be elucidated. One of our professors, I still remember, he would just write the theorem and then after one or two sentences, and then would just rest is obvious. It is so, students like me, we had to request, that professor, it is obvious to you, not to me. Then he would kind of reluctantly write a few more steps there. Look, isn't it so simple? Well, we have to think from the angle of those who are not having that high levels of intelligence and qualifications for that feeling this self everywhere, this self alone is. So that directly one is not capable of seeing it. So this indirect method, that Hari Om, there is this city of Brahman, the body, and in it the palace, the small lotus of the heart, and in it this small space. Now it is in this translation, this is translation, age-old translation by Max Muller. So it is, now that idea of ether is not anymore in the contemporary science or even the language. So let us call it as we were calling it space. Now what exists within that small aperture, that is to be sought for that is to be understood. That is to be sought for, that is to be understood, that is to be held on to. Who is that? Who is that being? That is, that search is called spiritual search. The spirit, the self, the non-material entity within. And if they say, and I am quoting the second verse in this, and if they should say to him, now with regard to that city of Brahman and the palace in it, that is the small lotus of the heart and the small space within the heart, what is there within it that deserves to be sought for or that is to be understood? So bring the attention to within. From without, bring it to within. This is, you can always see that there is this I is always kind of, it is capital because it is the center of everything. I and the world. Some psychologists have said that it is most of our energy, our time is spent just around this I am. It is, so the others, they are always, a problem, or they are not so good, and so forth. I. So therefore we are all in that sense I specialists, that it is, talk about I all the time. I did this, I did that, I was doing it, and so forth, never ending, when everybody is very good at telling the autobiography. May not be very interesting or consistent either, but still, people are, because that is how it is so important. I. So now one has to see, analyze it as an object. That instead of its being analyzer, now let us learn to look at it as if it is an object to be investigated. So in this, there is that awareness. We already easily can see that it is not body that is I. Somehow it is having body, but think of something that is there, within, deep within, and the place of heart is chosen for it. It is not biological heart per se, but it has a connection with biological heart, because everybody shows that I, touching the hand to the chest. I. It is at one place in our dispensary, we were calling the name of the patient. I was calling the names of the patient to deliver the medication. The doctor had given the prescription, and then they were all waiting for their turn to get the medicine. And then I read the name. And then that one lady, I am that. I am Neha. Just a name, it is I am Neha. That girl came forward. And I asked, who is Neha? She put the hand on the chest. I am Neha. And I just, to make fun, asked, pointed to her nose, why? Who is this? Who is this? Who is this? Only is this Neha, not all these? But that is how we instinctively indicate our presence, by pointing to the heart. Nobody points to the foot, that I am that. It is so that therefore it is psychologically suitable to think of that space within this biological heart. Also, there is another biological, but I mean more physiological reason for that. When you feel upsurge of emotions, then your heart starts shaking more first. There is some changes seem to go within that, the blood flow or whatever. So therefore that place is indicated to be the house of your awareness. So think of it as a house. It is very beautiful. When we do that, what happens, and that is very helpful for meditation, is that attention spread outside everywhere, getting dragged into all different thoughts connected with different objects. It now gets involved with this inner one thing. It's a big step. So that is why it is mentioned, just as this house, you see, there is this house inside. Think of it as the dwelling place. And just as you go to a house to meet someone, you go to the house, but the purpose is to meet the indweller. Now think of the indweller in this house, in the lotus of the heart. There is this space. In that that being is staying, and that it is, there is a famous Bengali Sufi song that it is that খাঁচার ভিতর অচিন পাখি কেমনি আসে যায়. Who is the author? Huh? Huh? Lalan Fakir, exactly. Lalan Fakir. Very beautiful idea that this khachar means this body, it's like a nest. In that there is this bird staying. How the bird goes out and comes in? If you can catch that bird, then all the problems would be dissolved. One has to know that bird, the being, just like you are in the home, then you go out, come back again. It is your home, and so you lock and key is there. So you go to your home, not to somebody's home. You know, this is my home, this is the key that I have got, and so you protect it and thus get into it. So similarly, there is this being within who goes, comes back. That is to be known. Then one should say, as large as this whole space is, so large is that contained within the heart. That also is actually so large. It is small, but when you concentrate on that, it becomes big, huge. It is that as big as the outer space, so big is also this inner space. It is this, and then one can see both heaven and earth are contained within it. Both fire and air, both sun and moon, both lightning and stars, and whatever there is of this self here in this world, and whatever is not, all that is contained within that so-called little space. So imagine now that little space has become big. All what is we're calling outer space, that is actually contained within that. It is all the different stars and suns and moons and whatnot. All is within that. Feel that now. What was the outer universe? Now that has to be brought in, condensed within this inner space. That is a great transition to feel the whole universe and the governor, the controller of this whole universe within that space. So, and if they say to him, they means if this person who is thinking of the inner space, the others, they start arguing that if everything that exists is contained in that city of Brahman, all beings and all desires, whatever can be imagined or desired, then what is left of it? When the old age reaches, when the death comes, that also is gone. If you see it here, now this is a step to transcend the body awareness. We were given the body as the symbol to feel within, But now, after feeling that the purpose of it is over, in Vedanta, that is called just for the sign. As a sign, the body is used. The body is not the object. It is somebody is suppose asking, you are asking, where is this house, this 227 Angel Street I am searching for, where is it? And somebody is from a distance points out, you see that white car parked there, just across it. The white car is parked there. Just across that is the building that you are looking for, that house that you are looking for, right there. Now, the man starts walking towards it. In between, that car gets started and moves. Now, this man, is he going to run behind that running car? No, the purpose of that car is done now. It has shown where you have to go. There is no further purpose of it. By showing that car, you don't have to go and investigate the car. It is just to indicate where you want to go. So body is just an indicator. The body will go away. That is what is mentioned here. Somebody would say then, because if this is the body gets old, the body dies. And so this house of the indweller, that also will get destroyed. Many get this problem actually. When one devotee, having been initiated, but had always this problem. He was a doctor, and so had this problem in the heart. But as soon as I think of heart, all this blood flowing in, going out, this, that, all of it, that is all I feel. I do not have the understanding that there is somebody staying within. Oh my goodness, how will that fellow stay there? So it is Sri Ramakrishna in that place, small place where the blood is coming in, going out, getting purified, and all so many things happening there. And what will happen to that Sri Ramakrishna if you get a heart attack? So, therefore, that person finds it very difficult. You have to change that awareness. That is why this question is there. But if you are feeling it within this body inside, the body gets old. The body becomes, you say, unstable, and it dies. So, what happens then to that? By the old age of the body, one should reply like this. By the old age of the body, that this space and the Brahman within, the God within, does not age. By the death of the body, it does not get killed. That the Brahman is the true Brahma city, not the body. In it all desires are contained. It is this self, free from sin, free from old age, from death and grief, from hunger and thirst, which desires nothing but what it ought to desire, and imagines nothing but what is ought to be imagined. So this is how the spiritual aspirant starts only thinking about this important thing, that unperishable Lord within. All desires are to be renounced. And Sri Ramakrishna was asked this question, and many times this question gets asked. What about the desire for realizing God? You said all desires are to be renounced. This also is a desire, isn't it? Well, Sri Ramakrishna would say that, that should not be counted amongst the desires. He would give many examples like a particular green, a person who is, for medical reasons, told not to eat those greens, they cannot digest. But that particular green, hinche shag, that is allowed, that should not be counted amongst these. It is, so that is an exception because it is not a desire actually. It is, can you call this is a play of words? The desire to give up all desires. That is the desire for God basically. Desire to give up all desires. What ulka, can it be called desire? It is, then it is a play of words, that's all. So that is not a desire. So all desires are contained in that. So if you get it, you get everything. That is the idea. Now it is so small. And as you get there, then you see it. Sri Ramakrishna used to therefore say that heart is the parlor of the Lord, where devotees can come and meet the Lord. Where should we meet the Lord? What is it? Where are we to meet God? Exactly, in the spiritual heart. It is there we can meet God. That is the God's parlor. It is, God is everywhere. But you have the meeting place for that God is heart. This is so much, you see, if you read Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, this idea about thinking of God in the heart. God is the indweller of all hearts. As Bhagavad Gita very beautifully mentions, Ishvaras sarva bhutanam hriddeshe Arjuna tishtati. That, O Arjuna, the Lord, Ishvaraha, in all beings stays in this inner space of pure consciousness or heart. In that heart, in everyone, it stays. And there we are all same. We are all same there. Just see this. It is, our external appearances are different. Even our mental characteristics are different. Yet, in this self we all unite. Therefore, the Vedas say that when you look at it and mold your character accordingly, what happens when this molding is going on? See, this is a practical science. And so as you do it, you start feeling the same one being in everyone. The one who is here is also here, is also here, is everywhere. It is in every single creature, single being, that same self. And thus, you love everyone. It is that message of Jesus, love thy neighbor as thyself. As you love yourself, you start loving others also. And thus, there is this very beautiful Sanskrit saying that it is for those who are petty-minded, Ayam mama paroveti ganana laghuchetasam. That those who are petty-minded, they have I, the others, this is mine, that's yours, and so forth. But udara charita nam to those whose heart is expanded like that, who is seeing the same thing, feeling the pains of others, the joys of others, and thus the jealousy is banished from their heart. Hatred is gone. For them, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. This whole earth is just one family. It is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And in Vedas there is this statement also, therefore, Yatra Vishwam Bhavati Ekanidam. This whole universe now becomes one nest, like the bird family in that nest. So this whole universe becomes one single nest. How small it is. Sri Ramakrishna, and I am quoting from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna here. It is from September conversation on September 22nd, 1883. Sri Ramakrishna, that it is mentioned as Master here. Master tells to one devotee, Ishan, please tell us also how the heart of the sadhu, means holy man sadhu, is the greatest of all. Ishan, this earth is the largest thing we see anywhere around us. But larger than the earth is the ocean, and larger than the ocean is the sky. But Vishnu, the Godhead, has covered earth, sky, and the nether world with one of his feet. It has reference to the story in the Puranas about how the demon king Bali, and he was to be, his kingdom has to be abolished, and so he had become tremendously powerful and was, although a devotee, was of demonic character too. So Lord Vishnu assumes the form of a little Brahmin, a small statured Brahmin boy, and where Bali was performing his sacrifice, he was giving whatever one wants, he would give. Ask and it will be given. So this Brahmin boy, he also said that, shall I get something? Said, yes, whatever is within my power, ask and I will give you. The king said. The Brahmin said, I don't want much, just 3 steps of land. The land to be occupied with these 3 steps. So with Bali said, okay. Bali's guru sensed that this is a problem. Bali's teacher was Shukracharya, very wise man. So he decided to obstruct it. But Bali was firm. So anyway, what happened was then this tiny man just put one foot which occupied all this earth. With another foot, he occupied all the inner worlds, the heaven and all that was occupied. Now where to put the third foot? Where I have asked for 3, only 2 are done. Where to put the third? And Bali bent down, said, "Put on my head." That is, he was then sent to the netherworld to govern there and so forth. So, whatever it may be, but the idea is Vishnu's feet is so big, huge, and that foot of Vishnu is enshrined in a sadhu's heart. Therefore, the heart of a holy man is the greatest of all. Everything is contained there. Isn't it? It's a small world after all. It is here that everything becomes combined, contained, right here. Very small world. Thank you, friends. We'll meditate on this idea, and after that, if you have any question, please ask. Any questions?
Maharaj, there are no questions here.
Okay. Any questions here? Oh, Ajay, you have a question. Please proceed.
Does feeling the biological heart in any way lead to this spiritual heart? Like just trying to feel something in your chest.
It is the sign or symbol of that. It is a way to that, like one has to show by science, you think of it and get to that gradually. So, this is sometimes called in Sanskrit, the Arundhati Nyaya. There is a small tiny star called Arundhati. Now, how to show that? On the sky there is a big constellation of stars, and then you are pointed first to that. Can you see that? Okay, yes. Now look at that one star there, one bright star, concentrated. Can you see that? Yes. Now if you look carefully, by the side of that star, there is a tiny star there. That is the Arundhati. So, this physical heart is a pointer to the spiritual heart. That connection is to be used to reach the spiritual heart. Is it helpful? Did I? Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Swamiji, I have a question.
You have a question, okay.
I think I'm seeing an analogy between, as seen by science, and what you described. Like science says that if someone travels at the speed of light, all the events collapses, all the time collapses.
Yeah.
And if someone travels at the speed of light, then has an infinite life. And science is coming from the paradigm of space and time. So it is incomplete description, whereas yogi is getting that directly, intuitively. So,
Well,
but there is some analogy. I always try to see that, find.
yeah, it is a good way to think about it, that if your speed increases, the distances start shrinking, time starts shrinking. So, if one can accelerate to the speed of light, and since all these contradictions appear, so it was said that nobody can travel or can be accelerated to the speed of light, because it would require infinite amount of power and acceleration. I mean, the power required would be infinite. So, but suppose somebody does that, succeeds in doing that, then the space would be shrunk to nothingness. The space and time collapse. Yeah, and thus this universe has no existence then. So that is true. It is from the scientific uh, angle of astronomy and general theory of relativity, you can speak about that, that it is the space-time just collapse, gravity collapses. So therefore, it becomes unspecifiable oneness, if I can describe it like that. Yes, the spiritual is, you don't have to go in that direction at all. You can feel it right here. Yeah.
One is intuitive, another is kind of rough.
Huh?
One is intuitive, meaning directly.
Yeah,
Direct perception.
yeah.
Other
You
one
don't
is an
have to
abstract.
read. And how many people will go to read that, and understand the theory of relativity and speed of light? And even if somebody understands, it is experimental verification of it is impossible. And so this is, one can feel, one can actually start getting the sense of it. And as one progresses, one can actually see the space, time is gone, that God alone is left there. Thank you. So let us see what programs we have next. Next Sunday, that is November 15th, we will speak a little bit about Diwali. Diwali, the festival of lights. So that is the etymology of this word Diwali. So that being the Diwali day, we shall talk about that. The Tuesday and Friday classes at 7:30 p.m. will go on as usual. The Tuesday topic is Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play. Friday, it is stories from Srimad Bhagavatam. The morning and evening meditation and prayer sessions, they also will continue. Please read the guidelines for in-person attending these. So, closing prayers. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahur Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. So we shall now have the arati, and that's about it. No soup supper. I don't know when shall we be able to begin that.
transcendent yet filled with love. You free us from the stain of sin and ornament our world. Consciousness is your form. Your eyes always purified by knowledge. Your eyes always purified by knowledge. Looking at them, illusion is gone. Ocean of shining love and feeling, air inebriated in your infinite love. Your feet always feel your devotees. Your feet always dear to your devotees. Form our boat to cross this world. Reveal to us as God incarnate and the Lord of all things, helping us join with you. Your mind's always set in the divine light. Your mind's always set in the divine light. This we can see through your grace. Destroyer of our worldly sorrow and compassion so infinite is your word. Your lives offered for the world's deliverance. Your lives offered for the world's deliverance, saving us from darkness and fear. Renouncer of all lust and lucre, therefore you were always spurning sensual life. Lord of monks, you are the best of men. Lord of monks, you are the best of men. Grant to us pure love for you. You're fearless and you're free from doubting, with your mind very firmly resolved. Causeless refuge of your devotees. Causeless refuge of your devotees. Renouncing caste and birth. Our treasure is your holy feet, which take us very soon across this puddle of life. You give love and even-sightedness. You give love and even-sightedness to remove our anguish here. Our treasure is your holy feet, which take us very soon across this puddle of life. You give love and even-sightedness. You give love and even-sightedness to remove our anguish here. Greetings to you, O Lord, beyond both speech and mind. Greetings to you, O Lord, beyond both speech and mind. Yet you are the basis of both. O Lord, yet you are the basis of both. Great light of all lights, blazing in the heartscape. Great light of all lights, blazing in the heartscape. Darkness is destroyed by your light. O Lord, darkness is destroyed by your light. Greetings to you, O Lord, beyond both speech and mind. Greetings to you, O Lord, beyond both speech and mind. Yet you are the basis of both. O Lord, yet you are the basis of both. Great light of all lights, blazing in the heartscape. Great light of all lights, blazing in the heartscape. Darkness is destroyed by your light. O Lord, darkness is destroyed by your light. Langa, ranga, bhanga, these are all the sounds of mridanga. Langa, ranga, bhanga, these are all the sounds of mridanga. Spiritual songs devotees are singing for your worship divine. Spiritual songs devotees are singing for your worship divine. Joya, joya for your worship divine. Hara, hara, for your worship divine. Shiva, Shiva for your worship divine. Breaker of all our worldly bondage and adored by all, we adore you too. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji ki Jai. Auspicious and blessed, graciousness sublime, all noble ends you give to us, granting us refuge, all-seeing God preservation, dissolution are your powers, eternal one. Nature's real basis, nature's essence, O Mother Divine, our love to you. We come seeking refuge from anguish. Be our Savior through your deep concern. All our suffering remove, Goddess, O Mother Divine, our love to you. Victory, O Mother Divine, our love to you. Blessed Mother Divine, our love to you. Blessed Mother Divine, our love to you. Blessed Mother Divine, our love to you. Jai Shri Ram Krishna Dev Ki Jai, Jai Shri Sarda Devi Ki Jai, Jai Shri Swami Vivekananda Ki Jai, Jai Shri Buddha Dev Ki Jai, Jai Shri Jesus Christ Ki Jai.